Hey y'all, Hunter Elliott, rangehot.com. Hope you're doing well. This afternoon, I'm not finalizing a gun review, though we're out in the woods here working on some gun reviews at the rangehot.com proving grounds, otherwise known as my backyard. And I've been getting emails about a specific email asking me, Hunter, you do a lot of 1911s, which I do. I would say out of the handguns that I review, I probably do more of the 1911s than any other model because I favor the 1911. And honestly, in full transparency, I probably understand that pistol the best out of all of them, with the CZ line probably being a close second. But, you know, 1911s is what I really dig. So I do a lot of 1911 reviews and enjoy those pistols. And so with that said, I'm sorry about the branches and all, y'all. Like I said, we're out here in the daggum woods doing some gun reviews. Anyway, the question is, Hunter, you know, you do a lot of 1911s. I never see you do any 1911s from Kimber. Why aren't you reviewing their guns? And I get this email or Facebook message or message through YouTube or what have you, I don't know, a couple times a month, maybe once a month, a couple times a month, but it's been pretty ongoing. And so I thought, instead of just copying and pasting my answer every time, I'm gonna just do a little quick video. This is very informal, explaining to you why I don't review Kimber handguns, 1911s specifically. And it's not on, I don't think it's on me. It was a number of years ago. It was probably, I'm gonna guess, probably 12 or 14 years ago when I was actually writing for a publication that the Kimber Pro Covert 2 was just introduced. And I got one of the very first test samples that I was gonna be writing about. The gun came in, we took it to the range, we began to shoot it, and within 50 rounds, it began to give me failure to return to battery. Cleaned the gun, oiled it, and it started working again pretty decently, but quickly thereafter, failure to return to battery. Tried a couple different magazines, a couple different rounds. The problem was consistent. So I called up my gunsmith, Tom Bellevue, explained to him what I had going on, stopped by his gunsmithing shop, we field stripped it, we took the barrel, he took this 45 auto finish reamer and dropped it down into the chamber. Now the finish reamer is the last thing, you know, before they do all the polishing, and it's got a little stop on it, so when you drop the finish reamer in there, you ream until it hits the stop. This is how my gunsmith is explaining it to me. Well, when he dropped it in there, it went about 2/3 of the way and stopped. And Tom said, hey look, it looks like this chamber is maybe 3 or 4 thousandths too tight, which would explain failure to return to battery after about 50 rounds, as a little bit of fouling would get to build up. You know, that tolerance is gone. We cleaned it. It worked. Fouling build back up. Tolerance is gone. Failure to return to battery. All made sense. Okay, no problem. Y'all, I live in, you know, reality. I understand that manufacturers have issues. Any and all of them can and do have issues, and I understand that. And you know, where I think a manufacturer shines is when you do have a problem, or if you do have a problem, you get them on the horn, explain to them what's going on. They're like, man, we're really sorry, send the gun in. They get it fixed, they send it back out. Second time's a charm, no problems. You know, if that happens in a review, you do mention that, hey, we had this issue, it had to go back, but it was repaired and no further issues. You know, when you're doing gun reviews, you have to keep the manufacturers happy somewhat, but you also have to be honest with the people that are watching your videos and reading your articles, because if you begin to talk about or skip over problems and people go out and buy these guns and begin having problems with it, then you know it's going to make you look like you're the liar, and man, that's, you know, that's all you got. So anyway, I got a hold of Kimber, explained to him what was going on, explained to him what I thought the problem was, but I said, hey, look, this is just something that we figured out real quick, may not even be that. And I was like, okay, just send the gun in, we'll see what's going on, which I did. It was about a week or so later, the gun came back. However, it was the same model, different serial number, which I thought was odd, but I thought, well, you know what, instead of them trying to figure this out, and to expedite the review, maybe they just send a second gun. And so I got that second gun in, and it also had a handful of, a few issues. Nothing terrible, but a few issues. And so I called them up and they said, hey, look, you know, now I've got some kind of stem bind going on. And they're like, well, you know, Kimbers have a 500 round break-in period. And I was like, look here, y'all, I mean, to be honest with you, I can't burn up 500 rounds of test ammo to break a gun in to begin a review, if that makes sense. But I was like, let's go for it and see what happens. So we did. I did. I shot the gun, and it, over the course of the review, it only had a handful of issues in which I mentioned, but it wasn't a whole lot. And according to Kimber, they smooth out after time. I'm not sure how I agree with that. I don't really believe in a break-in period. When you buy a brand new car, they don't tell you drive it for 1,000 miles. If it keeps breaking down, don't sweat it. So I was like, okay. When I published my review, I talked about the first gun going back. The problem with it, I talked about getting another gun in, same model, different serial number, having a few issues with it that seemed to kind of clear up a little bit, but, it wasn't perfect. And as I was writing the article, I was talking to my gunsmith about it, and basically said, Hunter, you got to figure out a way to tell them to go to hell, but so they enjoy the ride. And I don't mean that in, specifically to Kimber, but my point is, when you have problems and you got to talk about them, you at least got to be tactful about it. Don't trash the gun. Okay, so I did, and it come out pretty good. I thought it was decently received. However, during the course of that publication, as other writers were getting other Kimbers to review, I was not. I didn't ever get near another one, which is fine. Fast forward to, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I was at SHOT Show, and I was walking by the Kimber booth, and I stuck my head in there to take a look-see, and they had a new media person. It was a lady, and to be honest with you, y'all, she was super, super nice. I don't really remember her name, but she spoke to me. She said, hey, Hunter, come on in. Let me show you some stuff. Okay. So we talked for a little bit. She showed me a couple guns and asked if I would be interested in doing a review. Absolutely, of course. And so I got back home from SHOT. My protocol is wait a week or two, let the dust kind of settle. Shot her an email, followed up, got a reply back from her right away. And so right after that, I sent her my FFL. We talked about different models, and I was like, hey, you figure out what's best that you want the coverage for, this, that, and the other, and then you send it to me, we'll get it done. And we had a pretty good email chain. I'm gonna say 6 or 8 emails, and I would email her, like, let's say in the morning. If I didn't get an answer from her that very day, it would be the next morning or same day. And like I said, that went along, and then I didn't ever hear from her, and it went on 3 or 4 days, and I didn't sweat it. Everybody's busy. After about a week, though, I followed up, and I was like, hey, look, I know you are super busy. I'm not pushing it. I just, haven't heard from you in a week. What's the deal? What are your thoughts? And it was a day or two later, I heard back from her boss, and it was a pretty short email, and it said, Hunter, I'm sorry, but we will not be sending you a test gun now or anytime in the near future. And I may be paraphrasing a little bit, y'all, because like I said, this was a number of years ago. However, I'm pretty sure I've saved that email just in case. And I replied back, hey, what's the deal, this, that, and the other. I never heard back from them. But also, they had a copy of my FFL and all this. And so my point is, when you're doing reviews, you got to be honest with the viewer, but you also got to be, if you have an issue, as you talk about it, you got to be a little tactful. So, which I think is fine as long as as long as you're honest. And I have had other reviews that I had problems with guns before and sent them back, got fixed up. You mentioned it in the article. We had this issue, sent it back. It was squared away, no problems. All the other manufacturers have never had a problem with that. But, evidently I just, that one I did on the Pro Covert 2, it put a damn burr under their saddle because I have not been able to get any more test guns from them, which y'all is fine. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I got 6 guns in my safe right now that we're working on. So I'm not I'm not trying to be biased, but you get people that ask you these questions, and I'm just letting you know that is why I haven't done any Kimber reviews in a long, long time. If somebody from Kimber's seeing this, I'm not dogging your manufacturer, not dogging your guns. If you want to try to reestablish a relationship with me, that's fine. If you don't, hey, look here, y'all, that's fine too. It's cool either way. I'm easy like Sunday morning. So anyway, just run a little bit longer than I figured, but I've got to get back to doing some more reviews. I've got a pretty good start on the new Colt Python. We're going to get that wrapped up here soon. So that's all. I'm going to take your time up. Y'all be good. Take care of yourselves. Look forward to seeing you at the range.